Voices serves as the megaphone for individuals who have endured transformational change. By highlighting trials and triumphs, our desire is to create a safe space for pivotal conversations, which in turn will deepen the story and provoke hope for you, our listeners. As you may know, change is never easy, but it is inevitable. You are not alone in what you're facing. Your transformation is possible, purposeful, and now. And here's Aaron Wiggum, founder and managing director of New You, with this week's guest.
Hello and welcome to another edition of New Voices. My name is Aaron Wiggum. I'm the managing director of New You, also your host of New Voices. And we have an amazing guest with us today. This young lady is just ripping the streets up like crazy. She has a brand new venture that she has stepped into, and she has a wonderful title that I'll share with you in one moment. But when I first met her, almost 2 years ago now, she just came to us with this ball of energy. She is one of those people who are quick on her feet, and she's quick with her mind. And so you say something, she got something right back for you. And it's packaged just in her, the way that she wants to say it. But this young woman is dynamic. She is a change maker. She is a pace setter. She brings clarity to multiple communities. I like to call her a conduit, and she allows things to come to her and then flow through her to other people. She is the chief fun officer of PicMe. This young lady came through New You, and she got a spark and decided, I'm going to step out on faith and I'm going to start my own company. And she did that. She's also headed to law school. And is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we can leave the law school in there?
Yeah.
Okay. And she's about to have a wonderful conversation with us today. So I want you to sit back and listen to this discussion we have with the one and the only Mimi Martinez.
Thank you. That was so sweet. I really appreciate that.
You're welcome. It's so good to have you. Of course, we see each other all the time, and we chop it up. But to have you on here in a different light, I think was necessary. And so when we were thinking about guests moving forward, I said, well, we got to book Mimi. Let's get Mimi in here. She's doing amazing things in the community, and she's doing amazing things across the city. And so I'm so excited for your journey and for you to tell your story with us today.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. I'm really excited.
Absolutely. So as we do here on New Voices, we're going to go all the way back to the beginning. Mm-hmm. Tell us about, just walk through the Mimi Martinez story for us.
So I came to the United States when I was 10 years old, immigrated from Honduras. Mm-hmm. And, we were just talking about it right before we got on, but the journey itself was very interesting. I think it's really made me mature a lot faster, just because of the things that I experienced during that trip. As I mentioned to you, like I lived a time in Mexico, and, we were brought here. My mom tried the legal route. Mm-hmm. Right, as people say, the legal route, yeah. Like it's so simple,
whatever
right?
That means,
whatever that means, yeah. But she tried that, and it didn't work out for us. Actually, as a matter of fact, we got our visas banned for 10 years, so we were not allowed to apply for a new visa within a 10-year time period. Yeah. And my mom then made a difficult decision to bring me across the border, and that meant crossing through Guatemala and crossing to Mexico.
Yep.
We went through Guatemala once, made it to Mexico, got deported. And then got deported from Guatemala back to Honduras. Then tried it again. Guatemala, we made it to Mexico again, got deported to Guatemala. And then we tried it a third time and we made it. So talk about the persistence, right? And my mom really wanted us to be here. And the reason why really was because she just wanted me to have better opportunities. Because in Honduras, education is not something that's really, unfortunately, been pushed by family members or even the government itself, right? You have kids dropping out in 4th, 3rd grade. I mean, my grandma never went to school at all. So education wasn't something that was, you say, a priority.
Yeah.
It's more survival. You want to make sure that people are surviving. So if it means that you're working on the fields. My mom grew up working in coffee fields, and tobacco plants as a kid, being exposed to that. And she just didn't want that for me. So she made the difficult decision to bring me in. You know, it was, she knew that it was dangerous, and I knew that it was dangerous. I just didn't know that it was going to mark me for life, you know, in a certain way.
Okay. Let's stay right there for a minute. In that passage from Honduras to America, what, you know, when we were talking before we got on air, you were talking about some of the racism amongst brown to brown people, not just others to brown people. Can you talk a little bit about, like, what did you endure throughout that year process of trying to leave Honduras and make it to America?
It wasn't so much in Guatemala that I experienced, but I mean, if you're definitely a migrant from a different place, it doesn't matter if from Central America speak the same language. There's, you know, you can tell somebody's not from your area just by the way you speak. Like somebody from Louisiana comes over here, right?
Yeah, yep.
But, you know, when I got to Mexico, there was so much just hatred in certain ways towards like Central Americans, right? Okay. And I understand that, you know, people might have had an experience with the gang or, but, you know, just like here, you have propaganda that gets spread about every community. It's the same over there, right? But the thing is, like, people would literally call immigration and say, hey, there's, you know, people from Honduras or, you know, they're from Central America, come get them. And I mean, to that point, you know, like, here you hear people like, I'm going to call, you know, ICE on you, whatever. But, like, people will do it over there. Like,
they follow through on it,
They follow through on it. And that itself, I remember we came with a coyote, right? So we were...
With a coyote?
Yeah. Well, that's what they call the smugglers.
Oh,
coyote.
Okay.
Yeah, coyotes. Yeah,
I was about to say a coyote. What we talking about here?
I know, right? So we came with the smugglers. And then there was an instant when we're actually, like the third time that we actually made it through, the smuggler, he was really dark-skinned. You can tell he had like Afro-Latino, you know. My aunt, nothing to do with me, very light skin, like color eyes, right? Looks a little bit more European. Yeah. And then I'm in the middle, right? Yeah. We get pulled over by immigration. Kid you not? Like we are in the clear. We literally had walked the whole night to get around a checkpoint.
Oh wow!
Around a mountain. No lie. I mean, to the point that we were with we met other migrants and they were carrying me because I was just 10 years old. Right. So they were just carrying me so we can make it through the end. I remember my feet not like being able to feel my feet. We see a little town. We're like, okay, we're gonna go to this little town, and on the way there we get pulled over. And no one called immigration or anything like that, but we just get pulled over. And how Mexican police works is that you have to give them bribes.
Give them money, yeah.
Yeah, you get them bribes. We only had enough bribes for us. And then the police officer's like, oh, you're a smuggler, you're going to go to prison, and you guys are going to get deported, and blah, 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 blah. And I just like froze. And I was like, what do I do? What do I do? And I just started crying. And I was like, don't deport my dad. He's my dad. Don't take my dad to prison. And then I just started crying. And then my husband, my aunt, excuse me, looked at him. She's like, that's my husband. Like, she just kind of followed along, Yeah. And they let us go. Oh. They didn't let the rest of the people go.
Right.
There was about 5 other people with us, but they let us go.
Right. And
the smuggler, he's like, I forever he's like, I didn't think you were like quick on your feet like that. Thank you. Like you saved me from going to prison. Right but I think like when he looked at it, I remember the officer saying like, well, like she looks like she could be from both, So like I guess they believed us. And he did say like, yeah, my wife is from Central America, like, but she's from here. And I had fake Mexican papers.
Okay.
So like, they're like, okay, and back then it was more believable because the way that they prep kids to walk through the border is like, you had to rehearse. You have to know your lines. You have to know what school you went to. I knew the Mexican anthem. Don't ask me about it now, but I did know it at the time.
Yeah.
I knew like the Pledge of Allegiance. Yeah. Like I knew I was basically
indoctrinated
to learning all that, right? I knew what school, I made up teachers' names. Like, I mean, they ask you questions, you better be quick.
Right.
So that was the way that I was prepped to come through the U.S. So it was just like, just a lot of practice and like, certain words that we say in our dialect, you can say those words because they will give you away, that we couldn't say. Right. We had to like eliminate those terms from our language, essentially. So sometimes like, when I hear people that, like my little cousins just came from Honduras, they say certain words and I'm like, I don't know what that means. But part of it is just because one, I was a kid, and two, was just like I was forced to like not repeat those words again, and then you just forget and you just don't say them again. Right.
So now what was the impetus for leaving Honduras? Why was it so urgent and such a press to leave?
It's just the crime and the lack of opportunities. Okay. There's just so much, especially we don't come from a family of generations of family that went to school and like prioritized education. People that do well in Honduras don't leave Honduras because, why would you live if you're comfortable? You have maids. You can't afford the lifestyle that you have here. My little cousins that just came from Honduras, they are 14 and 16 years old when they came here. They were the help essentially for the richer people in Honduras, you know, and they can do with them whatever they want, right? So it's just like, I mean, that is just some of the stories that are coming out of there. And my mom, luckily she was sending money because she was already living here in the U.S. She was sending money to my grandma, but she left me when I was 5. So she wanted to have that relationship with me again, and that's why she wanted to bring me. Yeah. She didn't want me to grow up over there. And like I said, she tried it the right way, right? As people say. But it just didn't work out because you have to have a lot of money to be able to like even get a visa in Honduras. And that was just not our case. Right. So that's the reason why she brought me. And like, just going through the whole journey in Mexico and like the things that we experienced and the things that I saw. Like I was telling you, I was with the smugglers. When we finally made it to the border cities in Mexico, there's like ranchos, everywhere, just kind of like hidden, right? We were there, and to the point that the other individuals that were coming with us, they're Mexican citizens, right? They're getting smuggled into the country. We're all in the same boat. Yeah, they treated us like crap. I remember like they wouldn't even give us the food that they bought for us. Wow. The smugglers will go grab food, and he's like, "Here, women, spread it, make something for everybody," right?
Just like that.
And they would, that's kind of like they just threw and they expected all the women in the group to cook for everybody else, and then they wouldn't feed us. So I remember like faking stomach aches to like hide tomatoes and whatever I could under my shirt, so like I could give it to my aunt. Right. So we could eat something. So it wasn't like the best experience. And then, you don't see the inflation with migration like you do at the border now. I see like, I think I see like the humanity, right? I see like Mexican citizens coming to aid and help, these migrants. But like, that just wasn't my experience at the time.
Okay. Wow. Thank you for sharing that. I want to go, so now you're in America. How did you get to Tulsa?
So we came straight from, once we were in Arizona and sometimes this is like the movies. This is where the stereotypical stuff comes in. But we were in a trailer with like, I think 40 individuals. And then when we got to Arizona. Wow. And then from that point on, everybody gets in different cars and they
just disperse. Yeah.
So we went through all over the U.S. and we were the last ones to get to Oklahoma because Oklahoma has so strict laws. So they're like, we went everywhere but Oklahoma. We didn't go through Oklahoma. Right. We were the last ones. And I actually got dropped off at the Research on 71st and Memorial. Never forget, on December 13th.
Are like you serious? Oh my goodness.
And I remember, oh God, I get emotional every time I think about this, but I remember wanting to see my mom so bad. And then I saw her and I saw a stranger. Like I had no connection with this woman. I was so like just disconnected from her. Right. And part of it was because, she left me when I was 5. Right. To give me a better life, but I only knew her voice. Oh. And she didn't even sound the same when I saw her. So it was oh God. Get emotional every time because like I don't like talking about it too much. But yeah, I think it was just so life-changing. And we didn't have this conversation up until a few years ago. We were driving to Chicago. We had a road trip together. We did it on spring break and we talked about it. I was like, did you feel something when you saw me? And she starts crying. She's like, no. She's like, and I felt like such a bad mom, but when you hugged me, I didn't, and I didn't either. And just letting it out, it felt so good for both of us, because I think, she was afraid that I was going to judge her. Right. And I was afraid she was going to judge me for
not feeling anything.
Not having that.
The connection.
Like the bond, like, oh my gosh, my mom, like, I miss you so much. And I remember like we got to the apartment and she was like, "You're really dark." And I was like, "Yeah, I've been in the freaking desert for months."
I've been walking around mountains, Mom. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. And I remember she would like, she couldn't even, because I smelled. I mean, I was in a car with people for weeks, no shower, you know.
Right.
So like I stunk. And I remember she grabbed all my clothes, threw it in a trash bag, and she was like, "Okay, here are your new clothes."
Start over again.
But it was just really weird, like just that interaction, you know, with her. And I bonded more with my cousin, Carla. She's like one of my best friends with her because I had seen her in Mexico. She went to see us at some point that we were in Mexico. She actually tried to bring me as a relative, but my aunt couldn't. She got so nervous anytime she got asked any questions that her partner didn't feel comfortable like bringing us across the car, you know, and through the border and all that stuff. He's like, "Oh no, like we're gonna go to jail with this one for sure." So and I looked a lot like, you know, he's really dark and we have some of the similar features. So he could pass for my dad. So we had like a story, but again, like, the storylines did not match. So they didn't feel comfortable making that move. And I remember just like bonding more with her. And I can see the jealousy in my mom, you know, because she was like, "Why is she like, I'm sitting next to her, like I'm cuddling next to her, and not necessarily my mom, you know?" And we slept in the same bed for like a year and a half. And then, because in that household, it was my cousin, her kid, her mom, and then my mom, my aunt that came in the journey with me, and then my mom. So 6 of us in a 2-bedroom apartment, and my cousin's kid too. So 7 of us, actually. And I remember I slept in the same bed with my mom until, you know, she managed to save enough money to move out on her own. And she was like, "One thing you've never had is a bedroom of my own." Yeah. So that's what she gave to me, was a bedroom. And then she brought my grandma over. So in one bedroom, my mom slept with my grandma, my aunt, and her. And then my sister came along a couple years later. So it was 4 people in one bedroom. And like now that I look at it as an adult, I'm like, "Oh wow, like all the things that she did and I didn't appreciate at the time."
You never do nothing for me. Yeah. Well, how about I give you a bedroom? How about that?
Yeah. So that speaks to that. But yeah, I think that moment when I saw my mom, it was just so weird. And I think about it because I wish I felt something. I wanted to feel something, but I remember like I was overwhelmed with emotions. I'm on the verge of tears and I see her and they just dry up. Like I felt nothing.
Yeah. Wow, that's interesting. And how long, what was the time period that had passed from when you had last seen her? So you were 10 and
5 years.
5 years. Okay. Okay. Whew, boy, that's, and you think about it as a young woman, you know, you are developing in age. You are finding out, you know, who you are as an individual. You know, you are in this journey from one culture to another culture, and to have to do that without your mother, the closest person in the world to you, you know, in terms of like nature-wise, you know, not, you know. So for that had to be like super challenging. So you get here, you go through school here, you graduate from high school here, all right, and then you go off to college. Where'd you go?
So I went to, actually, I wasn't on a college track. I graduated from Tulsa Tech. I did automotive. Okay. And just because I just the only thing that I found interested. And then it wasn't until I got to Tech, one of my instructors was like, "You should really go to school. Like you should see beyond this, you know?" So he really encouraged me to apply for TCC. So I went to TCC. And because I didn't have any idea of what I was doing, like I found a group, my tribe, to this day. It was a Hispanic Student Association. This lady, Tina Peña, found me at the Metro campus, lost as a puppy. She was like, "You look like you need some help." Okay. And so she helped me enrolled, and she told me about this program, HSA. And she was like, "You should be a part of the program." Next thing you know, she is setting me up with these 2 guys, Omar and Juan. Omar, you know, is like, "Hey, let's go out to, you know, like lunch, and let me introduce you to like, I'm the chair, my VP Juan." I was like, "Okay, whatever." And we go, and I met Juan, and I just bonded with this guy, and he's my best friend to this day. Oh wow! So, but I met this friend in my clique at TCC. Unfortunately for me, I moved out. I didn't have a good relationship with my mom, hence, you know, what I've just shared. But I moved out. right after I turned 18. So I couldn't balance staying in school, paying for an apartment and all that. And especially because I just had DACA. So I didn't qualify for any financial assistance. DACA had barely rolled out. So I was brand new to the program. And, none of us knew what to do. So I honestly didn't have any experience. Like my first year, I flunked 2 classes off the bat because I didn't know how to manage time well, and one of the things that, I dedicated myself to at the time as well is working with our risk, students that come from immigrant families or immigrants themselves, because I understand firsthand, like, what that disconnection feels like.
Yeah.
And then when my kids got to go to college, and I say my kids, they're grown now, but when I started picking out the classes for them, I was like, this is the classes you take. This is how you manage your time, because I never had anybody to do that for me. Because all of us were trying to figure it out. All of my friends were in the same boat.
Yeah.
We were all first generation college students, and we were all trying to figure it out. So it's not like we could really necessarily mentor. We could lean on each other, but we couldn't mentor each other.
Right. Yeah. No, I get it. So we meet, you come through New U, and you were grappling with some things. And at that time, you were with one nonprofit organization, and then you were looking, though, to step into legal. And I think you were engaged at the time. And so congratulations on your nuptials now.
Thank you.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about how your life has kind of morphed from this immigrant experience to DACA, right? To now being able to like carve out your own path. What are some things, what does life look like for Mimi now?
So one of the things that I think has been really interesting, really, and it's so important, has been the relationship that I've had now with my mom, because she's been incredibly supportive, and I wouldn't be where I'm at now if it wasn't for her, because she's encouraged me to take risks. She's a risk taker herself, so she's really encouraged me to do that. With that said, when I came to you, I was really in a very confused, and I think I'm still on that a little bit. I'm still trying to figure out what my next move is going to be.
Yeah.
But I was just like, I was so excited to do this nonprofit work, and yet I feel like I have no impact. And I'm always, through my previous jobs, I was always very connected with community. And with this new job, I didn't have the opportunity to be connected with community the way I was before.
Yeah.
So I missed that a lot. I really missed the interaction with families and like having that connection. And it's almost like an outlet for me to also express myself, you know, and I didn't feel that. So when I went through the program, it really brought a lot of clarity. And I was like, look, I already kind of started this business, like, but I have not invested in it.
Right.
I mean, I wasn't. I mean, I didn't even talk about it really.
Right.
I wasn't invested in it. And I was like, but I'm good at it. I know that I can do it well. I just need to invest more time in it. So that's last year I decided to like just leave that job, give myself the opportunity to really immerse myself in like the tech and like learning my softwares and like learning everything about the Photobooth business, and really create, just the outlet, because it's just an outlet of expression. I get to really, really bring my creative side out with a lot of this stuff. And with that came a little bit more clarity. I was like, okay, like I really want to go to law school. Like it's probably not going to happen in the next year, because just I'm trying to get my citizenship stuff and all that stuff going. Yeah. But like that is a goal of mine. And really what motivates me is because of all the injustice I've seen with my community. I really want to do something around the employment law area, because I've seen from so many times like people not getting paid what they're worth, or not getting paid at all for the work that they're doing.
Right.
And then they're getting threatened. And because immigration here is such an issue, and and people are so scared. Like a lot of time they never seek any legal counsel, because they're just
they don't want to be deported.
They just don't want any trouble. In the community, a lot of times it's like we don't want any trouble.
Right.
And that's where I feel like I have an outlet. I have a voice that I'm not afraid to use, and like I can be an outlet for people to express themselves as well.
Okay. Very good. Very good. So we like to, there's a few questions that I ask every guest, right? And one of them would be, can you talk about, and you've kind of done this the whole time, but I want you to talk about a particular moment where, life got heavy and you didn't know how you were going to get out. What did you do? How did you go about it? Like, how did you navigate your way? Can you kind of walk us through like a valley experience that you may have endured?
Yeah. I'm thankful that I'm in a great place now, but unfortunately that hasn't always been the case. So I think, unfortunately toxic relationships, whether it's with family members or somebody that, you're a partner or friends, those are the instances to me that have hit the heaviest because I love so much and I pour everything of me into that relationship.
Yeah.
And I think that's a specific instance that I can think about is leaving the last long-term relationship I was in, and how I started seeing all these blessings come to me once I got out of that relationship. And it was one of the hardest things I did because my ex-partner has a son, and I was very emotionally attached.
Yeah.
Very emotionally attached, and I was manipulated constantly with because of it. Like, oh, you're kicking me and my kid out, or I'm like, no, I'm kicking you out.
No, you gotta go.
You're no good, And I think it was really hard. And yesterday, actually, I saw we have a friend in common, and they shared a picture of his kid. He's so big, and I just got overwhelmed with emotion because I was like, wow, I was with this little kid for 6 years and now he's like a full-grown teenager. He looks like a grown man.
Yeah.
So I think letting go of that relationship was the hardest. And my mom told me, everybody around told me, my friends saw things that were red flags left and right.
Right.
And not wanting to listen to that or just, making excuses for it. And it finally got to the point that I was like, if I don't do this now, like I'm never going to do this. I'm never going to get out of this relationship. Yeah. And making that decision was probably the hardest at the time and the best decision. And I've had a lot of, conflicts with family members as well. And I think those have been really hard, like heavy on my heart.
Yeah.
But, just sometimes being able to walk away. And the biggest thing for me was I want to heal from this relationship. So I'm going to go back to therapy.
Yeah.
I have a lot of things to work because I knew that I wasn't going to love because I was so insecure. I was constantly thinking in my head, if I start dating somebody, are they talking to somebody else? Are they going to cheat on me? Extremely paranoid. Right. So I wanted to work on myself. So I stayed single for a while. I would go on dates here and there, but I stayed single for a while. And I think that was the best decision that I got able to make because I got to know myself much more.
That's it.
I got to know my things that I like, my triggers.
Yep.
Things that made me happy. I got to learn about my love language and how I communicate that and how I work with people that have a different love language than I do.
Yes.
And that experience was, I think, where I grew the most, and then I found my person.
Yeah.
And it's so healthy because with him it's like, oh, here's my phone. Like, can you read the text? And I've never had that.
Right.
Even something as simple as having their passcode to their phone. Right. Not that I'm checking it, but just that reassurance and
transparency.
And I'm in such a good space, emotionally right now. But I think lately too, I've recently transitioned. I started a new job, and I'm still doing PicMe too, right? And I called one of my friends, and I was like, I'm just overwhelmed. Like, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know if I'm doing the right thing. Should I take this job? Should I am I giving my mentor? She was like, I think you're giving it too quickly. I think you got impatient with the business. You want more, and it doesn't happen. You have to build that overnight. And I did. I did get impatient.
Yeah.
I did. And I jumped in this new venture, and now I'm doing both. And I think it's been a little overwhelming, but I'm now to a space that I can breathe again. Yeah. I think the last 2 months were a little heavy. But I'm finally getting to a good place again. And I'm like, okay, time management, I can do this.
Yes, for sure. Speaking to that whole point about failed relationships. So I had a failed engagement in 2010, and when it was over, right? And wish her the best. Nothing but good things to say about her. She is a wonderful person. However, though, I had to learn me, right? And so I went 4 years single, as they would say, dollar bill single. I went on a couple dates here and there, but I was single for 4 years. I would go shopping by myself. I'd have some headphones on. I would go to go out to eat and sit at a restaurant by myself. And I'll almost be annoyed that somebody interrupted me. I'm having a good time over here by myself. And I actually got to explore me and understand what do I like and what don't I like, and who's worth my time and who's not worth my time. And I remember vividly one young lady I met, we met at an event and we exchanged numbers. So we go out on a date, right? And when we go on a date, there was a few things she said in our conversation that automatically were like disqualifiers. I was like, yeah, I'm not going to do this. So we wrapped up the little meal and I took her and I dropped her off and she said, this is going to be the last time we see each other, huh? I said, yeah, pretty much. But I wish you the best, like no, you had a free meal, you know what I mean? But this is, you're not going, there's no future with you, and it's okay. And so I think that that's something that's important as we develop, especially when you're somebody like yourself who have so much in you. You have so many talents. You can do so many things, right? I think knowing who you are is vital so that you don't become at the mercy of what somebody makes you become, right? And so like really doing that soul searching, that self searching to have a valid blueprint or understanding of who you are. And like you said, what makes me go and what makes me stop, what makes me think and what motivates me, right? What demotivates me, what makes me confused or frustrated, right? Having an understanding of all of that will help you in the next phase of life. And so, it's amazing that you're doing it at the age you're doing. You like most people don't figure that stuff out till 40, 50s, third marriage, fourth marriage, but you wanted to do the work early, right? And then go into this with an understanding. And of course, I met your husband, Eric. He's a great guy. And your dogs and everything, right? So the question we usually wrap up with is this. How do you or how have you held on to hope? Whether it's on the mountaintop or whether it's in the valley. Like when you think about all the things that you've endured and that you've seen throughout this time, how have you gone about holding on to hope?
So I used to be very religious growing up. I grew up in a very conservative religious household, and I strongly believe in God. Nor I'm like super involved in church or anything like that now, but I think just having that faith, that God is putting good people my way, and I don't just say like, oh, I'm just gonna leave it to God. You have to do the work.
You have to do the work.
You have to do the work. You cannot just be like, I'll just leave it to God and God will take care of it.
No.
You have to do the work. And it's by the people you surround yourself with.
Yes.
I think building a strong network of people that build you up, that are happy for you,
wish
that
you well,
celebrate with you, that cry with you, like they have genuine feelings towards you.
Yeah.
I think that's really important. Whether those are family members, friends, you create your own tribe if you have to. But I think it's finding those individuals and letting them in.
Yeah.
I think that's a big part. A lot of times we have so many walls up, and we tell ourselves, and I've heard it from multiple friends, I can't find like the friends that you have.
Yeah.
I'm like, I have let them in.
Yeah.
We've had hard conversations.
Yeah.
We disagree on things.
Yeah.
We have learned to agree to disagree, and we have built this friendship because we have let each other in. We've exchanged ideas, and they don't always agree with me. I don't agree with them.
Right.
But we have built this network of like friend, and it's not network, but like just friendship, and just that trust is there. So I think that's really important. And you were saying earlier, it's like getting to know yourself. I think in anything, if you don't know yourself, and I'm still working. You're never gonna stop working on it. And that's why, like, anytime I see a program or like, that's why I went to NEO. I was like, I need this. I know that I need this. And just working on yourself, I think is really, really important to holding on to hope, because once you know yourself, you know your strengths and your weaknesses. You're going to lean on those strengths. Yeah. You're going to say, okay, this is what I'm good at. This is what I want to pursue. And then also that's when you know your limits and your boundaries. And I think that saves a lot of heartache. Like, I draw boundaries with my family. I'm very clear on them. They like it or not. I'm like, listen, this is for me. This is not about you. This is about me.
Yes.
And I'm going to do what is going to make me happy and me comfortable. And if I don't want to be around a different family member, I didn't invite half my family to my wedding.
Me either. Listen, when I got married, we had a guest list of 108 people. 93 showed up, and I had a bunch of relatives, aunts and uncles who were there when I came out the womb, but they weren't invited because my thing was this, I got married at 35. So I was a little bit older. I can't get married and go back to a 1-bedroom apartment, yada, yada, yada. Like, I'm not 25 trying to figure this out. I'm 35 and I'm taking on a woman, not some young girl who, right? And so we're going to leave this wedding and we're going to go into a house and we're going to set up right? And so I can't spend my house money for you to drink and dance. It's not even wise, right? And so I think in America, we definitely got this messed up because actually the way it was designed was that the parents would pay for the wedding because the parents were established. But now the bride and groom are paying for the wedding, right? In a lot of cases. And they're trying to have the same type of wedding that established people used to throw. So like now you're starting at this deficit. Day one, when you get married, that's the first day. That's not the last day. Like the wedding is the beginning, not the finale. In America, we treat it as just the finale. Like, okay, yeah, now we're married. Okay, now you're arguing about a bunch of bills you can't pay because you just dropped $35,000 on this wedding, and you're going into a 1-bedroom apartment, and your light bill's behind, and your water bill's behind, right? And so you want to talk about where your first arguments are going to come? Right there.
Finance, Yep.
So
and family's not going to be there to pay your bills.
No.
And with me, it's like drawing the line because I know my family very well. I'm like, if I didn't serve the right alcohol, they were going to complain. If I didn't have the right food, they were going to complain. They were going to, like any little thing they were. So I just didn't invite certain family members, and they found out like everybody else through Facebook.
That's okay.
Social media.
Yeah. Hey, it is what it is. Yeah. No.
So, and I, that was something my mom. She helped me pay for some of the wedding, and I even went there. I was like, I'll take your help. Thank you very much.
Yep.
You get one table.
Right.
You get one table of people. She was like, whatever. I was like, I don't care. You get one. If you're going to help me, you're going to help me because my mom always has a saying, si vas a hacer algo, hazlo bien. If you're going to do something, do it the right way.
Right.
Do it because you want to, right? Okay. Because it comes like from the heart.
Not to get something back from it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I was like, and I used to back on her and she said, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. My dad did the same thing where he wanted particular relatives to be there. And he's like, I'll pay extra for this. And we look, we're not doing 300-400 people to make you happy. I'm not a child and you're not paying enough for this. And so we scaled that all the way back. Like I said, 108 people, 93 showed up. It was a wonderful time. And the thing is, what I told him is anybody can come to the wedding. You're welcome. If you want to come celebrate me, you can bring a gift to the wedding. If you care that much, come to it. And we did it on a Friday. So that was another thing. Like we did it during the work day on a Friday. So you had to want to be there. And if you couldn't, then I'm okay with that. Right. But what I don't believe in doing is being an added expense to someone when you see that they're trying to do something bigger and better. You know what I'm saying? And so often family puts that onus on you, like, but I'm Uncle so-and-so and I'm aunt. No. Or what you could do is you can help put some money in and that may, take some stress off of me. Right. Yeah. And so I just think that, I applaud you for standing your ground, which I know you will, standing your ground and saying like, no, this is how we're going to do this. Many times individuals, especially brides, don't do that. They concede to their mother's, desires, right? And all of a sudden this $15,000 wedding is a $40,000 wedding.
Exactly.
Because mother wants, the high.
Brag to her friends.
Yes, yeah.
I told her, I was like, I would tell them, I was like, the pictures are going to be beautiful. Your friends are going to see it on Facebook, like everybody else. So she got some of her friends there. But, I think, something that I've always admired, and I criticized a lot earlier on, is about like my dear white friends. Like they set boundaries with their, at least from what I've witnessed, right? At least the people that I've been around. Yeah. They set boundaries for like around their family members and like, I'm not going to go around so-and-so. Yep. And I always like, wow, they're family, you know? Because I grew up with this mentality, a family is family no matter what.
No matter what, yeah.
And it's true, but you also have to set boundaries.
You have to have boundaries.
You have to, if you don't say, hey, like, I am just not willing to, just put with this energy in my life or just like, I just don't want to give them this anymore. Right. Because you're giving them a piece of you every time, you say yes. You say yes. Yep. So I've always admired that. And I criticized it for a long time. I was like, oh man, white people, like, they just don't care about their family, right? No, it's just a lot of times they set boundaries. And now it doesn't apply to everybody, but at least in the circle of friends that I've had, like I've always admired that. And now that I'm older, and I'm like, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. Like this is healthy, and you don't have bad blood between,
Right.
it's just a way to avoid a lot of things. But I think with that said, with hope, a lot of times it's just really like doing the work for yourself.
Yeah.
It's not easy. I was just telling you before, like I'm looking for a therapist right now because there's some things that I want to work on, but it's not easy. And it's just really, like learning yourself, because I think once you know yourself, it's just you just get to enjoy life a lot better.
Yeah.
You get to like pick and choose where you want to be and the places that you want to be.
Yeah.
And to me, that's important. That's where I want to be. Like I am so like just grateful, really, like to God and the universe for like putting the people that are in my life, because they're just amazing people.
Yeah.
And when I surround myself with those great people, I meet more great people, and it just keeps going. And like I don't feel this like stress of like keeping up with the Joneses, right?
Yeah.
Like I just feel like me, and I'm accepted, and I'm loved, and I'm enough.
Absolutely. Call to action. So what how do people follow you? How do they find you? What's the last remark for you?
So my Instagram is mimi.y.martinez.
Okay.
It's long Instagram. And then PicMe is pic.me. That's our PicMe page. I would say really like connect with me any way you can. You message me on social media, I'll respond to you. Honestly, I'm the type of person that will give my phone out if I could. So
You don't have to do all that.
but I mean, I just I love connecting with people, and I just love having a network of individuals in my community. And I think in speaking, one thing that I can say is I'm really grateful to you, because I've met more amazing people through the program. But it really allowed me to kind of really ask myself the tough questions and ask, like, where do I want to be in the next 5 years?
Yeah.
Where do I want to be with myself in the next 3 years? What do I want to do in the next year? What are some action steps that I can do to start making some of those visions come to life? And I still have my vision board.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I still have my little check that I wrote out to myself right there.
Nice.
So it's working towards that. And I'm really, really grateful for the opportunity.
I love it. You are more than on your way. I'm telling you. And I'm so excited for the work you're doing with PicMe. Like, you're everywhere, and don't give up on it. It takes time, but it will pay off in the end. All right. So don't give up on it. But tell us real quick, 15 seconds. What is PicMe?
So we are in the business of capturing memories. So whether that's for a corporate event or a wedding or a birthday party, we're really there to just make it really fun, interact with guests, make sure that your guests and you yourself have a really good time by like not just taking a photo, but it's really creating those memories that are going to last a lifetime. So we do that through many different avenues, through a photo booth, a slow motion booth, as well as a 360. I mean, we have many different ways that we can do it. Creativity, it's just really, it's limit. So it's been great, and I'm really excited about it. And I'm really grateful to the support of like our friends and our family that like refer our business to everybody.
Yeah. And Mimi serves as the Chief Fun Officer, the CFO. And so we're just so excited. I'm really excited for you, Mimi. You're going great places. Stay the course. And thank you for making this time to spend with our audience. We really appreciate it. Thanks for listening to another edition of New Voices. We'll be back. See you soon. Be safe. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of New Voices. Visit our website at www.newutulsa.com. That is NEWU-Tulsa.com. Follow us on social media at New U Tulsa on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And a special thank you to our producer, Jesse Ulrich. If you're looking for self-improvement, join our free cohorts for personal and professional development opportunities. New You is a way for diverse talent to imagine, discover, and actualize a 2.0 version of yourself. Bring your future into focus.